Have you ever visited the Seongju temple site in Boryeong, a remote ruin on the west coast of Chungcheongnam-do province? It is a place where you can expect to find a slice of Silla culture that flourished 1,100 years ago. You can start by exploring the Thousand-Year History Museum before taking a stroll to the Seongjusa temple site. The Seongjusa temple has a rich history. It was initially founded as the Ohapsa temple before the unification of the three kingdoms. Later, it changed its name to the Seongjusa temple in the late period of the Silla dynasty, and it was greatly expanded during the Goryeo dynasty. Unfortunately, it probably remained until the middle of the Joseon dynasty to be destroyed during the Japanese invasion of Korea. On both sides of the main gate site, there used to be cloisters. Now you will see a stone lantern made at the later period of the unified Silla dynasty. Behind it, there is a 5-story stone pagoda. This is the main building site. Look at the beautiful stone steps with 2 stone lions made during the unified Silla dynasty. The original ones were stolen in 1986. And the reproductions might have been copied from this photo. Also, observe the stone pedestal for Buddha, decorated with huge lotus petals. Additionally, you will find the 3-story stone pagodas in a row, which was built in the later period of the unified Silla dynasty. The excavations revealed that these pagodas were moved from other places. The holes on the pagoda were designed to hang gilt bronze plates and other ornaments during Buddhist ceremonies and events, adding a fancy and gorgeous look to the tower. This area includes a large auditorium site. There was also a long hall to the east, which was dedicated to 3,000 Buddhas. This hall may have been built in the late 13th century to enshrine 3,000 clay Buddhas, each 30 to 40 centimeters high. This Buddha statue, known as a Minbo, is thought to have been made by laymen in the last period of the Silla dynasty or the beginning of the Goryeo dynasty. The deep frown on these statues seems to hint at extreme compassion for the poor people. This location was also the site of the stele of Seongjusa Temple, a historical memorial erected during the last period of unified Silla dynasty. 10 fragments of this stele have been found here, and its headstone and the pedestal are now housed at the Boryeong National Museum. The most valuable treasure on this site is this magnificent stele located in this arbor, known as Daenanghae Asang Tapi. It commemorates the Buddhist monk Nanghae, Venerable Muyam of the unified Silla dynasty. It is believed to have been erected in 890 AD, 2 years after his death during the reign of Queen Jinsong. The inscription was composed by Choi Chi-won with its calligraphy by his cousin Choi In-yeon. It is the largest remaining monument of stele from the unified Silla period. It's a miracle that the characters inscribed 1,100 years ago are still completely legible and have not worn out. This pedestal was originally shaped like a turtle, but was severely broken and buried in the soil for a long time. It was excavated and repaired in 1974. The south surface of the inscription contained 5,120 Chinese characters. Interpreting, annotating, and explaining these many letters might require a medium-sized book. The inscription mainly pertains to the life of Venerable Muyam and can be considered a piece of literature. Historians have been its primary introducers to the public until now. Given that the author Choi Chi-won was a well-known literary figure in both Tang and Silla, we should regard this inscription as a valuable literary text that provides insight into life during the 9th and 10th centuries of Silla. By reading this inscription, one would gain insight into the lives of King Munsong, King Honan, King Gyeongmun, King Hongang, King Jeonggang, Queen Jinsung, Prince Kim Hun, as well as Venerable Muyam, the protagonist. Firstly, who is Venerable Muyam? Here is a summary. Venerable Muyam was born in 801 AD, in the second year of King Ejang's reign, descending from Kim Muye. He initially started Confucianism when he was young. When he was 13 years old, he joined the Oseksaksa Temple in Mount Saraksan to become a disciple of Venerable Bopsang. A few years later, he moved to the great Busaksa Temple to learn the Flower Sutra from Venerable Sakdung. Still wishing to learn more, he boarded a ship with Prince Kim Hun, bound for Tang at the age of 21 in 821. While he was a monastic at Jixiang Temple, south of Xi'an in China, he was so moved by what an old fellow monk said that he gave up the study of scriptures he had been observed in, deciding to become a Zen practitioner. Later, he became a disciple of Magu Baoche, who in turn was a disciple of Maju Taoi, the eighth patriarch in the Southern School of Zen. Legend has it that Magu Baoche was told by his teacher, Maju Taoi, "A brilliant Zen monk will come from Silla. Let the water of wisdom flow to Silla through him." The teachers of prediction made his disciple wait for Venerable Muyam for a long time. After the death of his teacher, Venerable Muyam traveled throughout China, presumably in search of spiritual enlightenment. People referred to him as the great Bodhisattva of the East. When Emperor Wuzong of the Tang dynasty suppressed Buddhism, Venerable Muyam returned to his native country of Silla at the age of 45 in 845. During the reign of King Munsong of Silla dynasty, after spending 24 years studying and practicing in Tang. At the request of Prince Kim Hun, Venerable Muyam took over the abbotship of Ohapsa Temple, which was a deserted temple. Upon learning that Venerable Muyam was staying at Ohapsa Temple, people traveled from all over the country to seek enlightenment. During that time, King Munsong proposed that the temple change its name to Seongjusa Temple, indicating the presence of a saintly monk in the temple. The next king, King Honan, also showed his respect for the monk by sending him tea and incense as tribute. Contemporary scholars considered it a lifelong shame not to have access to the teachings of such a saintly monk. King Gyeongmun also revered the monk and invited him to his palace. When they met, the king bowed to and honored the monk as a state teacher. The queen, crown prince, a younger brother, and other royal relations adored him as if they had met a living Buddha. The questions and answers between King Gyeongmun and the monk are recorded. The king asked the monk, "What does the praise the state of Banya has been finished up mean?" The monk said, "If the sentient realm has already finished off, there is no logic. Since only the mental impression remains, one does it silently." Once the king fell severely sick. He invited the monk back to his palace, hoping that he might relieve his suffering. The monk could not refuse the king's request. Despite his effort to cure the king through prayer at the palace, the king passed away a month later. King Hongang succeeded to the throne at a young age and expressed his uncertainty in carrying out the kingly duties. He thought the monks would help in ensuring the welfare of his people. After earnestly blessing the king, Venerable Muyam returned to his temple. The king greatly desired to meet the monk again. He welcomed him with great respect, including commissioning poets to compose eulogies praising him. This display of hospitality was unprecedented. King Jeonggang invited him, but he declined, citing his old age and ill health. Queen Jinsong was concerned about the virtuous monk's health, so she sent 10 messengers to inquire about his well-being within 3 months of her accession. When she learned of his waist pain, she sent a loyal doctor to help. Despite his close relationship with the royal family, he lived a very frugal life. He fetched water from a spring and carried firewood on his back. On November 22, 888, at sunset, Venerable Muyam passed away while sitting upright. His death deeply affected the people and his disciples, leaving them feeling as if they had lost their sight. At the time of his passing, he was 89 years old in secular age and 65 years old in his religious age. He remained sitting still and erect, as if he were alive, for 3 days. Queen Jinsong was deeply saddened by the news. She expressed her grief and respect by sending mourning lines and some grain, praying for his peace in the next world. The queen also called for Chechiwon, a great scholar and writer, and said, "The late great monk of Seongjusa temple was truly a Buddha who appeared in our ordinary world." Both King Gyeongmun, my father, and King Hongang, my brother, revered him as their state teacher. Since it is customary for a monarch to give an honorable name to great masters, we bestow the name Daenanghae upon him, and the name Baekwol-bogang for his memorial stele. Since you have served in Tang's government and gained the admiration of our people, why not reward our country by composing a memorial inscription? The inscription ends here. In summary, we can conclude that Venerable Muyam founded the Seongju Mountain School of Zen and also became the state teacher of 2 kings. He trained 2,000 disciples in this monastery. Now, shall we discuss his remarkable literary style? When Chechiwon received the queen's request to write an inscription, he modestly responded with a brilliant metaphor. The attempt to express his infinite and great deed with my finite and humble skill is like the desire to carry a heavy load on a weak cart and to draw water from a deep well with a short-stringed bucket. He also explained the difficulty of achieving Tao with this wonderful metaphor. 2 To achieve Tao is like drilling a hole through a dew on the grass. To approach Buddhas and acquire a true Buddha is like catching the moon reflected in the water. What amazing metaphors! Thanks to them, we can still sense the vibrancy of the last Silla periods in literature, history, sculpture, and religion, particularly Zen Buddhism. In Boryeong, there is another place related to Chechiwon called the Island of Boryeong, although it is no longer an actual island. Before the construction of the Nampo embankment in 1995, it used to be a beautiful island. But now it is just a small hill on land. One of the prominent features on this hill is so-called folding screen rock. In the later years of his life, Chechiwon, feeling detached from the worldly affairs, traveled around the country like a cloud. During this period, he visited this place and expressed his feelings of sorrow and regret through his poems. It is also said that, while witnessing the decline of Silla dynasty in history, Chechiwon likely gazed at the tide coming incessantly from the west, feeling lonely and regretful from the vantage point of these rocks. As Boryeong disappeared silently beyond the hills through the bus windows, Venerable Muyam and Chechiwon seemed to appear lonely in the purple hues of the sunset in the west.